Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. Today we have something new for the channel. We are going to be working on an alignment chart, and we will be focusing on Pokemon today. So we're going to be talking about Pokemon types. So in Pokemon you can have a fire Pokemon, flying, grass, all these types down here. And each Pokemon can have up to two of those, up to two types. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be putting them on this alignment chart. Now, my alignment chart is going to be the higher up I put them, that they are a very good type, and that's a type of Pokemon you definitely want to have, versus all the way on the bottom, they're very bad. It's not a type of Pokemon you probably would care to have. And there's always going to be exceptions to these. There's going to be some Pokemon in the type that are very, very good, but for the most part, we're going to go with, on average, how good they are. And then from left to right, if all the way over here on the left, these are Pokemon types that I personally never use for one reason or another. And over here on the far right, it's going to be Pokemon types that I always use. So for example, if we put Bug, down here, that means I always have a Bug Pokemon on my team, but they are very bad. So that would be what that means. Or right here, I never use them and they're very bad. Or up here, they are, I never use them, but they're very good. So that's what that is. So we are going to start off with Bug here. And to get us started, Bug is not very good. Bug is probably one of the worst types in the game. They don't counter much, and most Bug Pokemon have secondary types that sometimes help them, but don't usually help them. So we're going to put them in very bad, and I don't usually use Bug Pokemon on my team because they're very bad. And most of the time, Bug Pokemon are just weak. So I'm going to go ahead and have to put Bug Pokemon over here. I never use them, and they're very bad. I guess I'm using a Leafany in one of my games, so I'll put that over a little bit. I'm using one Bug in one of my games. So we'll move it over a little, but yeah. Next, we have Dark Pokemon. I think Dark is pretty average. They counter. So each Pokemon type has types that they are good against and types they're bad against, of course. So Dark counters Psychic really well. And I believe Ghost as well. But it's just kind of average. I don't think there's anything that makes them super, super good or super, super bad. I'm going to put them kind of in the middle. So in terms of very good, very bad, they'd be kind of up here. But I never really use Dark Pokemon. The only time I really ever use Dark Pokemon is if it's like the secondary type of one of the Pokemon I'm using. So I'm going to put it right here, a little bit less than average. I don't think it's anything really to write home about. Next, we have Dragon Pokemon. I think Dragon Pokemon are very good. Perhaps not the tippity top. The Dragon type is very good. Most Dragon Pokemon are very good, but a lot of times that has to do with their stats and abilities more than the actual typing. So I'm going to put it around right here. And unfortunately, I don't always use dragons. I wish I did, but a lot of times Dragon Pokemon are hard to find. So I'll use a dragon if I can, but I'm going to have to put it right here for now. So very good, but I don't really use them that much. Electric Pokemon, I think, is about the same tier as Dragon. Very, very good. Electric Pokemon only have one weakness, which is ground, which is a very commonly used type, but it is their only weakness. So a lot of times electric Pokemon can be very good. They're also usually very fast. So very good type of Pokemon. And I generally have an electric Pokemon on my team all the time. With some exceptions, which I'll get to in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and put electric right here because it's good and I usually use one. Next type is Fairy. Fairy is the newest type added to the game a couple of years ago, and it is the tippity top. It is excellent, and as soon as it was added, it's very good. It counters Dragon, which is the reason why Dragon is not at the top anymore. It's just very, very good. I don't use Fairies that much though because they're rather new, and I don't know. I didn't really understand the type when it first got added because it was all new and shiny and stuff. So I probably use it less than I use dragons, to be honest. I'm going to put it here. So even though it's so good, I don't use them, or I haven't used them so far. Maybe that should change. Next, we have Fighting. I think Fighting is about average. It counters some really good types. It counters Steel. It counters Rock and Ice, though Ice is not very good. So it's going to be about here in the middle. In terms of when I use them, I have used Fighting Pokemon before, but it's never really my first pick. So I'm going to go ahead and put it right here I do think fighting is a little bit better than dark, though, so I'm going to put it a little bit higher than dark there. Yeah, right here. So I don't really use them that much, but yeah, we'll go ahead and put that there. So fire is going to be our next Pokemon. Fire, I think, is pretty good. It's about on par with electric, and I always have a fire Pokemon on my team. I don't know that I've ever done a playthrough with that one, so that has to be all the way over there. Next, we have flying. I think flying is good. The fact that they are immune to ground is a very important typing here. So I'd say they go. I think they're slightly worse than fire, just a tad worse. And I always have a flying Pokemon on my team because in the older generations, you had to have a flying Pokemon to be able to fly. With some exceptions, sometimes dragons could, be your flyer, but you had to have a flying Pokemon. So that's going to be over there. Ghost, pretty good, not bad. I don't use ghost Pokemon that much. I like to use them. I think I use them a little bit more than I use fighting, so I'm going to go ahead and put this here. Grass Pokemon, I think. I'm going to move Ghost up a little bit. Sorry. Grass Pokemon, I think I always have one. But in terms of how good they are, I think it's about on par with Dark. Grass Pokemon have a lot of weaknesses, and they're not the most offensive type. Usually, Grass Pokemon are support Pokemon, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that they can't always do a lot on their own. There's a lot of exceptions to that, but that's a very generalized way to look at it. So I'm going to put Grass about where I put Dark, right underneath that label there. Next, we have Ground. I think Ground is excellent, an excellent type. I think it's easily on par with Electric and Fire. I think it's even maybe a tad higher. And I'm going to put it right here, though, because I don't always have a ground Pokemon on my team. I try to have a ground or a rock. I'd rather have a ground than a rock. But there has been playthroughs where I just have a rock Pokemon instead, or maybe I don't even have one or the other. It just depends what's available. So ground Pokemon, I think, are very good. They have the complete immunity to electric. The only problem with them is they are weak to a lot of stuff. So they're very powerful, but they're usually weak to a lot of stuff. Ice Pokemon are not very good. I think they're a little better than Bug. But in general, Ice Pokemon tend to not be that great, even though I think they're super cool. I typically do not have Ice Pokemon on my team because they usually are not available. Similar to Dragon, they're usually available much later in games. So I'm going to put it about here with Dragon. I probably use them as much as I use Dragon. Normal. You kind of would expect Normal to go right in the middle, right? And that is where I'm going to put it in terms of very good, very bad. It's kind of on par with Fighting. Because even though Normal doesn't hit anything super effectively, there's no type that Normal will hit and be super effective. There's nothing except Fighting that hits it super effectively. So it's very neutral class. Normal Pokemon usually have a lot of utility, a lot of different things they can do. I tend to not want to use them, though, because I tend to like to have the Pokemon with the type advantages. So a typical one of my teams in a playthrough will be probably one of these 5 Pokemon, and then a water, which I'll get to in a minute. So for Normal, I think I'd probably use it more than Ice and Dragon just because they're more readily available, but probably less than Fighting. So I'd go ahead and put that about there. Next, we have Poison. Poison is going to be on par with Ice, not very good. Now, in terms of how much I use them, Poison is good because it can counter Fairy. So it's one of the types in the game that counters Fairy, but the problem is it doesn't do much else. And usually there's just better ways to counter Fairy Pokemon. I feel like I do end up using Poison a decent amount, though, because usually there's a lot of Grass Pokemon that have their secondary typing as Poison. So I'd probably put this here along the same par as Ghost. Yeah, but not as good. Psychic is our next one here. I think Psychic is about as good as Ghost here, a little bit above average. And I like having Psychic Pokemon on my team, especially in generations before Fairy came out. Psychic is a great thing to have. So yeah, put that about right there. I think I generally use them. Next we have Rock Pokemon. I think Rock Pokemon are about on that same tier. Not as good as Ground, I don't think. But yeah, I'd say they're probably about here. They tend to be they tend to be very defensive and very slow, but very cool. Maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, maybe about here. Maybe not quite as good as Psychic. Um, hmm. Do I have a Rock Pokemon more than I have Psychic Pokemon? I'm gonna put it here. I think I have Rock and Psychic Pokemon about the same amount. All right, two more. We have Steel. Steel is very good. Steel is one of the best types in the game. It counters Fairy. It counters Psychic. It's impervious to many things. Many things fail to damage it very hard. I love having Steel type Pokemon on my team. The problem is they're not always available. Steel is probably my favorite type. So I definitely use them less than Ground, but if there's a Steel type Pokemon available and I'm not doing a specific playthrough for a run, I think I generally try to have one. So I'd say right here, I like to have them more than Psychic. And they're at the very top. The next we have here is... I'll go ahead and lower Ground down a little bit here. Because I can't say that Ground is better than Dragon. So we have kind of this secondary tier here. We have this top tier of Fairy and Steel, and then we have the secondary tier of Dragon, Ground, Electric, Fire going. With Flying just a bit underneath them. Should Flying be down with Psychic and Ghost? Yeah, I think I'm going to put Flying down with Psychic and Ghost. So that's kind of our B tier. And then our C tier is Rock, Fighting, and Normal. And Dark and Grass, Ice, Poison, Bug. Okay. Kind of got some tiers going here now. The last one is Water. And I not only always have a Water Pokemon on my team, but they are also excellent. They have a ton of utility. They hit Fire, Ground, and Rock super effectively. A lot of Water Pokemon are very good, and they take not effective damage from a good amount of types as well. So they're going to be up here, tippity top here. If I were to kind of space these out a little bit, kind of do this. So going over those tiers again, we have Fairy, Steel, and Water in the top. We're going to have Dragon, Ground, Electric, and Fire kind of in the secondary tier. Definitely need to use more Dragons and Fairies in my playthrough. Looking at that. Taking a look at the next tier, we have Flying, Psychic, and Ghost. Don't tend to use Ghost Pokemon that much. Psychic more, and I always have a Flying. So as the generations go on, I don't need a Flying Pokemon anymore because they changed which types of Pokemon you need. This might end up going down here. But I generally always have one. And then, yeah, we don't usually use Dark, Bug, Ice, or Poison, and they're not very good anyway. And Grass I always have, even, whether it's good or not. So there are our tiers, guys. This is our alignment chart. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this alignment chart. Let me know with the likes if you do like it. And if you enjoyed this video, there will be another ranking of some kind, I guess maybe an alignment chart or probably a tier list out tomorrow at noon Pacific. With that, this has been the guy that makes random tier lists and alignment charts. Signing off.